The message came without warning. It was just past midnight in most parts of Earth when it happened. Satellites picked it up first. An unusual burst of data from deep space. It wasn't random. It wasn't noise. It was a message. It's one that repeated every 5 minutes in hundreds of alien languages, and somehow ... In English too, the words were clear, cold, and arrogant. Earth, you are now under the authority of the Galactic Armada. You will not resist. You will not speak. You will submit. Prepare for evaluation. For a moment, there was silence across every major military center on Earth. No one moved. No one spoke. Then the alert systems lit up, sirens in bunkers, red lights on warships, scrambled jets, coded messages across continents. Earth had been contacted before. Quiet probes, secret observations, rare hidden meetings between alien scouts and human governments. But this was different. This was public, loud, open. This was a warning, a threat, a challenge. United Earth Command held an emergency meeting within 15 minutes. All 5 generals appeared on screen, their faces pale, tired, and serious. They sent it directly to our satellites, one said. No demand for peace, it said another. They're testing our reaction, General Soto growled. They want to see if we'll break. We can't panic, said the president. The people must not panic. But it was already too late for that. The message spread across the internet in less than an hour. Every screen, every radio signal, every major social media page hacked, hijacked, repeating the same message. You will not resist. You will submit. At first, people thought it was a movie stunt, a prank. Then governments confirmed it was real. That's when the fear began to grow. Not on the surface, but deep down, quiet and cold. In cities, people gathered near large screens, watching the stars, waiting. Military bases locked down. Air Force pilots were scrambled in every major country. Satellites were moved into defensive formation. The world held its breath, but something strange started happening. It wasn't chaos. It wasn't full panic. Instead, people began to laugh. Not everyone, but enough. Memes flooded social media. Jokes started trending. We are Earth. Good luck with that. Aliens, you will submit. Earth. Bro, have you met us? Galactic Armada, prepared to receive Florida Man. News anchors tried to stay serious, but some couldn't hide their smiles. Comedians went live with instant skits. Teenagers made dance videos with the alien voice message as background music. Someone remixed it into a club beat. Within 4 hours, the track hit #1 on the global charts. Back at the United Earth Command, the generals were furious. They don't understand the danger. General Soto shouted, "This is a military threat. They could attack at any moment." "Yes," said the president, calmly looking at a live stream of people dancing in Times Square. "But they also don't understand fear. Not the way we think." Then, the sky changed at exactly 6 a.m. Earth's moon was covered. Hundreds of black shapes appeared in orbit. Massive ships. Their forms were sharp, metallic, silent. They didn't glow or blink. They simply floated, huge and threatening, long range. Telescopes showed markings on their hulls, symbols of 100 conquered worlds. Armor that defied every known weapon. The Galactic Armada had arrived. Cameras zoomed in from space stations. Civilian feeds went live. The entire world saw the same image. A wall of ships bigger than cities, surrounding Earth, and still, humanity laughed. A popular streamer stared into her webcam and shouted, "If they're here to scare us, they should have come during tax season." On a rooftop in Tokyo, a man held up a sign for the drones to see, "Hey aliens, your mom is a moon rock." In Paris, someone projected the message, "We bite." Onto the Eiffel Tower, the alien voice returned. "This is Commander Yerkes of the Galactic Armada. Wow. Earth will now send a representative to kneel before us. You have 5 hours. Right. Refusal will be seen as defiance." United Earth Command scrambled. "We need a trained negotiator," one general said. "No," said the president, tapping the desk. "We need something else." An hour later, Earth's reply went out. It was a single video. It showed a young man wearing a hoodie, standing in front of a green screen. Behind him was a badly photoshopped alien spaceship. He looked directly into the camera and said, "Hey there, space dudes. Thanks for the warning, but we're going to have to pass on the whole kneeling thing. Also, your ships look like flying toasters." He winked, snapped his fingers, and the screen exploded into glittery text. "Earth, not today. Galactic Brothers." The video ended. Commander Urix watched it from his flagship. His clawed hand trembled. His second officer whispered, "Sir, is this?" "Defiance." Urix stared. "No, it's worse. It's mockery." His ship's sensors picked up new activity from Earth. Not weapons. Not fleets, but laughter. A sound wave, a global signal. Entire cities laughing at once. It's not because they weren't afraid, but because fear didn't rule them. "Should we begin bombardment?" another officer asked. YRIX turned away from the screen. "No, not yet. I want to know why they laugh." Meanwhile, deep underground, a hidden Earth research team watched everything. Dr. Karen and Becky, the head of the signal analysis lab, leaned back and smiled. "They think we're weak. That laughter means we're soft. But that's the thing about humans." She looked at the blinking console. "We laugh hardest before we fight hardest." In space, the Armada waited. Earth didn't kneel. It joked. It danced. It mocked the most feared force in the galaxy. And in that silence between tension and war, stars listened. Something old had awakened. Not with a scream, but with a laugh. The sky didn't turn black. It turned silent. People expected thunder, explosions, something loud when the Galactic Armada entered Earth's atmosphere. But when they came, there was no sound at all. Only the sudden flicker of sunlight, as if something massive had blocked it. Above every major city, it appeared dark shapes in the sky, floating giant, slowly rotating. Not planes, not drones, not clouds. These were ships, not dozens, hundreds, each one the size of a mountain, black as coal, shaped like jagged knives slicing through the air. People looked up in silence. No one spoke. From New York to Nairobi, Beijing, to Buenos Aires, skies turned cold. Shadows swallowed entire neighborhoods. Birds vanished. Wind stilled. It felt like the whole world had paused. Then came the beam. A single shaft of blue light hit the center of London bright. Wide, silent. It didn't destroy, it scanned. Buildings lit up like they were being X-rayed. Within seconds, the beam moved. Next stop, Berlin, then Paris, then Moscow. Within 20 minutes, the Armada had scanned all major cities, back in Earth Command. Alarms screamed. "They're not firing, but they're targeting everything," a technician shouted. "Power grids, hospitals, military bases, everything." General Soto leaned over the screen. "They're measuring us, judging us, planning which buttons to push." President Malik stood by the window, watching one of the ships hover silently. "Over Washington, D.C., they think fear will make us submit," she said, "but they haven't seen us yet." Back in orbit, Commander Yerk stared at the live data. Earth's defenses were primitive. No planetary shields, no orbital weapons. Their nuclear arsenal was outdated. Their communication networks were easy to hack. Still something felt off. Yerks narrowed his eyes. Where are their panic signals? Where are the distress calls? The riots, the surrender frequencies. His second officer turned from the console. "There's something strange." "Commander? Explain." The officer hesitated. "They're not screaming, they're streaming." "What?" "They're uploading videos, jokes, music. One of their global networks has started. A trend roast the Armada. They're making fun of us, sir. They're laughing again." YRIX hissed. "Play one." The screen lit up. A man wearing a tinfoil hat stood under one of the hovering ships, yelled, "Hey, space clowns! You forgot to turn your blinker on before entering orbit." He saluted with a slice of pizza and moonwalked away. The crew aboard the flagship was silent. "This is Psychological warfare, Yerkes growled. But back on Earth, people weren't afraid. Not really. Oh, the military was nervous. Governments were on full alert, but regular people, they had lived through pandemics, climate disasters, wildfires, wars, recessions, and worse. And now a bunch of floating triangles thought a sky show would scare them. Please, on TikTok, a teen made a video pretending to order takeout from one of the alien ships. Yes, I'll have the spicy plasma ray with a side of planetary domination. Extra sauce, please. Another guy went viral for taping a fake laser. Cannon to his car roof and yelling, "Stand down, aliens." This is Earth's turf. Even the Pope joked during his morning prayer, "Let us pray that our new visitors enjoy pizza, because we are not serving fear." Still, United Earth Command knew the threat was real. Behind the humor, Earth's scientists, hackers, and defense teams worked without sleep. They mapped the ships, traced their energy output, and tested signals. Dr. Karen and Becky led the team. From her underground lab, "They're not here to invade the usual way," she said. "They're here to dominate without a shot, psychological control. But our species doesn't play by those rules." Her assistant raised an eyebrow. "How do we respond?" Karen smiled. "We push back, with a message of our own." Later, Earth beamed a video directly into orbit. This time, it wasn't a joke. It was real footage. First scenes of human disasters, floods, wars, fires, and hunger. Then scenes of survival people rebuilding, rescuing, helping each other. Then came the voice. "You came with shadows and thunder. You've seen worse. We lived through worse. You bring fear? We drink it with our morning coffee?" This is Earth. "And we laugh in the face of giants." The message ended with one final clip. A single child in a hospital gown, standing by a window, watching a ship hover above. She waved. She smiled. The signal cut. Commander Yerkes stared at the dark screen. His ship's sensors picked up something. Knew an emotional spike. Not from his own crew. From him was that. Respect. He turned away. Double the scans. Prepare for deeper probe. I want to know how many of them have seen war. How many have survived it? One officer spoke quietly. "Sir, if they don't fear us." Yerkes clenched his jaw. "We may have to fear them." Down on Earth, the people continued laughing. But deep inside, Earth's warriors, thinkers, and builders were preparing. Because humans only laugh. When they know they'll survive, and when the laughter ends, then comes the storm. The Galactic Armada had never done interviews before. They didn't see the point. Usually, when they arrived at a planet, they gave one warning. If the species submitted, they were allowed to live under control. If not, they were reduced to rubble. But Earth was difficult. It had been 2 days since the Armada arrived. Earth had not attacked, but it had not surrendered either. It had not begged, screamed, or cried. It had laughed, worse than that, kept laughing. And now, the entire galaxy was watching. Other species were tuning in to the live feeds. Civilizations far beyond Earth's reach had started watching human videos. They saw the memes, the pranks, the jokes, and the open mockery. And they began to wonder, why wasn't Earth afraid? Commander Yerkes felt the pressure. He had to make Earth look weak before other planets thought they could laugh too. So he sent a new message to the planet, one louder than before, one that reached every device on Earth. "Send your best speaker to face me in a public transmission. This will be broadcast across the galaxy. You will answer for your world's defiance." Back at United Earth Command, the room was tense. Generals argued. Politicians panicked. They wanted to send a trained diplomat, someone calm and professional. Someone who wouldn't offend the alien commander. But President Malik had a different idea. She pressed a button on her console. A new face appeared on the screen, a man in his 30s with wild hair, sunglasses, and a smirk. His name was Danny Cruz, a stand-up comedian. "Madam President," General Soto said in shock. "You? Can't be serious. This man is a joke." "Exactly," President Malik said. "That's the only language they don't understand yet." Danny leaned back in his chair. "So let me get this straight. You want me to talk to a giant lizard alien on live Galactic TV and not get us all vaporized? Correct?" Danny smiled. Perfect. I've done stand-up shows at 2 a.m. in Alabama. It can't be worse than that. The galactic broadcast began 5 hours later. All over Earth, and across dozens of alien worlds, screens flickered on. A massive split screen appeared. On the left, Commander Urix, in his dark throne, surrounded by soldiers. On the right, Danny, Cruz in a wrinkled hoodie, sipping coffee, sitting on a couch with a cat on his lap. Wire IX opened the broadcast. People of Earth, this is your final chance. Your actions have been childish. Your response has been foolish. This is your last moment. To show fear and respect, speak. Danny sipped his coffee. First of all, love the voice. Very Darth Vader meets dentist drill. Second, thanks for the view. My YouTube subscribers just exploded. Urix stared. You mock us even now? Buddy, Danny said, pointing at the camera. If you wanted respect, you should have sent flowers, not death threats. Gasps rippled across alien feeds. Some species had never seen a human before, and their first impression was this. YRIX leaned forward. You're playing a dangerous game, Earthling. No, Danny said with a grin. You are. You think we laugh because we're weak? We laugh because we've survived everything the universe has thrown at us. You came here to scare us. But you forgot one thing. Urix narrowed his glowing eyes. What? Danny's smile widened. We don't scare easy. You ever tried to pay rent in New York? That line, translated into dozens of languages, hit every broadcast at once. And for the first time, the galactic feed light. CHED.Y. Because it couldn't handle the reaction, alien species from across the stars were laughing. Not out of fear, but because somehow they understood. Something about humans connected with them. The chaos, the madness, it's the refusal to bow. The laughter wasn't Earth's alone anymore. It was spreading. Commander Urix stood up. This is madness. You do not win wars with jokes. Danny leaned closer to the camera. That's where you're wrong, Lizard Man. You want obedience? Try another planet. We've got sarcasm, sass, and 1 billion years of try-me stored in our DNA. Enough, Rix roared. You mocked the Armada. You have mocked me. Your world will be. Before he could finish, Danny snapped his fingers and cut. The human feed ended. Earth's side went dark. The galaxy froze. Urix's screen buzzed. His officers stared in shock. Commander, our ratings are dropping. Entire systems are tuning out. What? They're watching him on reruns everywhere. Urix shook with rage. He didn't know what was worse, the fact that Earth still refused to submit, or the fact that a comedian just made him the biggest joke in the galaxy. Back on Earth, Danny finished his coffee, looked into the camera one last time, said, Dear aliens, next time, bring popcorn. You're gonna need it. Off-dash screen, in the silence that followed, deep in the shadows of the Armada fleet. Some captains began to question the mission. Others started watching more human videos. One even laughed, and far away in distant worlds, leaders began to whisper one word they never associated with humans before. Dangerous. Not because of their weapons, but because they smiled when others would cry, and they laughed. When warships filled the sky, the scout ship was invisible to human eyes. It floated miles above Earth's surface, silent and cloaked, watching everything. Commander Urix had sent it after the interview. He needed answers. Why did humans laugh in the face of power? Why did they act like they knew something he didn't? He wanted to know if Earth was hiding something, some kind of secret weapon, something to explain the arrogance. Scan the planet, he ordered. All of it, deep ground, deep sea. Power sources, artificial heat signatures, everything. Scout ship obeyed. It swept across continents, cities, oceans. It scanned factories, data centers, military zones. Nothing special until it reached a place called South Dakota. A large empty area, mostly flat grasslands and hills. Quiet, almost boring. But in the middle of that quiet was a small farm. One barn, 2 sheds. and underneath, power signature that didn't make sense. "Sir," the scout pilot said, "we found something strange. Energy readings under that structure, they're not listed in Earth's global maps, and the pattern, Yerkes cut him off. Send visuals." The image came through, a small wooden house, porch with a rocking chair, chickens in the yard. Under the soil, machines, big ones, homemade ones, the kind of tech that shouldn't exist on a planet with outdated nuclear missiles. "What is that?" Yerkes demanded. "Military base. No commander. It appears to be private property." The readings got stranger. The machines had no standard blueprints, no known energy cores, and one of them was pulsing with gravitational energy. That was impossible. Gravitational energy required mastery of space-time fields. Only the top 3 empires in the galaxy had that. And Earth. Earth was still using gas cars in some places. Yerkes leaned in. "Send a team." Quietly, the stealth drones dropped from orbit. They were small, nearly invisible, equipped with scanners. And translation tech? They landed near the barn, inside. A man in overalls was sitting on a stool, welding something that looked like a broken tractor engine mixed with alien scrap. His name was Bill Tanner, age 61, retired engineer. Never served in the military, no criminal record. Raised cattle, loved jazz. He didn't look dangerous, but the device next to him was glowing. It looked like a giant copper ring with wires, crystals, and something that might have been a repurposed blender motor. But according to the drone's scanners, it was bending gravity at a small scale. "Record everything," Yerkes ordered. One drone got closer. It hovered near the ring, scanning, humming. Bill turned his head slightly, raised one eyebrow, and said without looking, "I told the last robot not to touch that." The drone ignored him and moved closer. With a small pop, the entire drone blinked out of the sky. Gone. No explosion. No pieces. Just vanished. Wire-Ix shot to his feet. "What happened? Where's the drone?" "Known," the pilot said, panicking. "It's not showing on sensors. It's like it never existed." Bill sighed, turned off his torch, and stood up. Dumb metal bugs, always poking where they shouldn't. The second drone tried to retreat. Bill walked toward it slowly, calmly. He held up what looked like a TV remote covered in duct tape and tinfoil. He pressed a button. The drone froze in mid-dash air, not powered off, frozen, suspended in time, not moving, not falling. Bill nodded. "That's better." Then he looked straight at the camera inside the drone and smiled. "Tell your boss I'm not done tinkering. He wants answers. He can come ask himself." Yerkes felt something he hadn't in centuries. A chill. "Who is this man?" he demanded. Earth's files showed nothing special. Retired at 42. Worked for something called a private tech firm. Name redacted. No criminal activity. Loved building weird machines in his free time. Often bought parts online under fake names. Earth knew him as a harmless backyard genius. But Yerkes now believed Earth had something far worse. Wild inventors. Tinkerers. Unsupervised creators. Bill had just erased a drone with scrap tech and a soda can. Yerkes turned to his staff. "He built that in a barn. What else are they building?" His officer answered softly. "That may be the only one." Yerkes shook his head. "No, he's not hiding it. He left it outside. That means he's not afraid of us seeing it."
"Sir, you think it's bait?" "I think," Yerkes said slowly, "Earth is not preparing for war. Earth is playing with us." "Back."
On the farm, Bill unfroze the second drone, handed it a peanut butter sandwich, and said, "Tell your fleet I'm busy next week. But if they wait till Tuesday, I might have something new to show them." The drone hovered in confusion and zipped back into the sky. Ix received the message in silence. Earth's people didn't act like prey. They didn't act like soldiers. They acted like mad scientists. And in the long history of the galaxy, those were the most dangerous kind. Not because they followed rules, but because they didn't have any. The Armada now had proof that Earth wasn't just laughing. It was building something. In sheds, in garages, in basements, and no one not. Even Earth itself knew how far it would go. The Galactic Armada had ruled over 73 systems. They had crushed rebellions, silenced uprisings, burned planets. Entire civilizations had surrendered after just seeing the Armada arrive in their skies. But Earth made funny videos about it. Commander Urix was not amused. The Earth's interview had turned him into a meme across 3-star sectors. And now his scout drones reported that humans weren't preparing defenses, they were watching movies. Not just any movies. War movies. Monster movies. Action movies filled with unstoppable humans. Urix ordered the central AI of the flagship to analyze human media patterns, display top visual content on Earth. Screen filled with titles: John Wick, The Terminator, Predator, Die Hard, Aliens, Mad Max, Edge of Tomorrow, Pacific Rim. Each file showed brutal action humans, fighting alone, surviving impossible odds, defeating invaders, monsters, machines, and even time itself. Urix stared in silence. "Are these real?" he asked. His intelligence officers shook their head. "We believe they're fictional entertainment." "But they show their thinking, their culture, their values," Urix muttered. "This is what they dream about. This is how they see themselves." He ordered his officers to watch the films, every single one. The next 12 hours were uncomfortable. One captain vomited during a scene from Saving Private Ryan. Another broke their translator after watching 300. By the end of Terminator 2, 3 officers were convinced that humanity had created time-traveling assassin robots. "They made these movies for fun?" one asked, trembling. "No," Urix replied. "They made these movies as warnings. To anyone watching, Earth was clearly telling the universe something. Don't mess with us." The ships grew quieter. Urix knew fear. He had used it for centuries. It was his weapon, his tool. But this was different. This was a kind of fear the humans didn't show. The kind they fed on, turned into stories, jokes, action scenes, and one-liners. He played a scene from Independence Day, where a human pilot flies a stolen alien ship into the enemy mothership and blows it up while yelling up yours. The room fell silent. Urix slowly looked around. "Tell me again why they're laughing." His second officer cleared their throat. We don't think they laugh because they're unafraid. We think they laugh because they are afraid." Urix blinked. "Explain." "It's how they deal with fear. It's how they survive it. They make jokes. They tell stories. They turn horror into courage." Urix stared at the screen again. One clip from The Dark Knight played on loop. "You have nothing to threaten me with." For the first time, Urix felt something deep inside his chest. Doubt not about his power, but about his plan. Were these humans really as weak as they appeared? Or had they hidden their strength in plain sight behind jokes, behind stories, behind fearless laughter? Younger officer interrupted. "Commander, I just watched The Matrix." Urix nodded. "And I don't know what's real anymore." Back on Earth, people were still uploading content. Now, they were deliberately sending movie clips into space. A coordinated campaign titled, "Know Your Enemy." Aliens across the galaxy began watching Earth's films. In less than a day, Gladiator became the #1 streamed movie in 5 systems. Rambo was being analyzed by several warlike species. Urix saw what was happening. Earth wasn't using missiles. It wasn't using plasma. It was using culture. Its movies were weapons. Its stories were bombs. Its humor was armor. "We came to break them," Urix said, voice low. "But they've already broken the rules of fear." He ordered a full halt to all offensive operations. "We will observe, learn, study their chaos." But it was already too late. A rumor began spreading through the lower decks of every armada. Ship. A single phrase, whispered, repeated, feared. What if the movies are real? And even worse, what if the movies are just the beginning? Urix stood at the command bridge, watching Earth from orbit. His claws tapped the railing. His eyes were heavy. He no longer wanted to destroy Earth. Now he wanted to understand it, because laughter wasn't weakness. Stories weren't just noise. And Earth was teaching the galaxy something new. The most dangerous thing in the universe is a creature that knows Ferran still laughs. 3 days had passed since the Galactic Armada arrived in Earth's orbit. They had shown off their ships. They had blocked out the sun. They had jammed Earth's satellites. Still, Earth hadn't surrendered. No panic, no military mobilization, just laughter. And then Earth finally responded. It wasn't with missiles. It wasn't with lasers. It was with a broadcast. All Armada screens turned on at once. The faces of humanity appeared. Young, old, military, civilian, each speaking the same words. Calm, steady, unshaken. We see your ships. Impressive. We see your weapons. Big. We see your numbers. Many. And then the voice changed. Not angry, not loud. Just sharp, cutting through space like a knife.
Ow.
But you've made one mistake. The screen zoomed in on a human soldier, eyes cold but smiling. You think fear will stop us? Silence filled the Armada. The soldier leaned forward. You want to scare Earth? He laughed. Not a forced laugh, a real one. The kind you hear before something dangerous happens. Try living here. The screen flashed. Suddenly, the broadcast began showing raw, unfiltered images. Humans. Climbing mountains with no safety gear. Humans jumping from planes with fabric tied to their backs. Firefighters walking into burning buildings. Soldiers charging through sandstorms in enemy territory. A man swimming with sharks grinning. Then a title appeared in bold letters. You can't scare what grew up with fear. Every officer in the Armada leaned closer. Was this real? The humans continued. We fight hurricanes with helicopters. We surf tsunamis for sport. We chase tornadoes. And we strap rockets to our backs. And when we get sick, we cut the sickness out ourselves. Urix, leader of the Armada, gripped the railing harder. This wasn't arrogance. This wasn't bluff. This was a species that embraced danger. And then the final message appeared on every screen. We didn't laugh because we thought you were weak. We laughed because we've already faced worsened. We survived. Suddenly, one of the human broadcasts cut to footage from a place called Chernobyl. Then another from World War II. Then the words Hiroshima. Then Black Plague. Then 9/11s. Then COVID-19. Then Deep Sea. Then Mars rovers. Yerkes' second-in-command gasped. They survived all that. Yerkes didn't answer. Whoa. Was watching something else. The screen showed Earth but not its armies. Showed its people. Teachers, doctors, children, builders, musicians, all moving forward, all alive, all unafraid. The message was clear. Fear wasn't a warning for. Humans it was a beginning. The broadcast ended, but not before one final shot. A human child holding a sign. Welcome to Earth. Don't try anything stupid. The Armada ships fell into dead silence. Then one captain whispered, they didn't threaten us. But I feel more afraid now than ever. Across the fleet, officers stared at the Earth below. They came expecting surrender. Instead, they got something they didn't know how to fight. A planet that had made peace with fear and turned it into strength. Yerkes turned from the window. Ready a message? He said. To Earth, his aide asked. No, Yerkes replied. Slowly to the entire galaxy. He paused, his voice heavy now. Tell them, Earth didn't fight back. They didn't have to. The aide frowned. Then what do we tell them? Yerkes gave a dark smile. Tell them. Earth laughed. The message from Earth had spread across the stars, so not just to the Armada, but to every empire, every colony, every council. The footage of the humans' calm, the laughter, and their terrifying courage went viral on a galactic scale. Some called it madness. Some called it bravery. But all agreed. The humans were not normal. In the grand chamber of the Galactic High Council, thousands of species gathered. Leaders, generals, scientists, war philosophers. A dark-furred Makari warlord slammed his fist on the long crystal table. This is a bluff, they laughed, because they're afraid and hiding it. No, replied the insectoid speaker from the Verk's hive. I've seen fear. This was not that. This was something.
Older.
The room stirred. On the screen in front of them, the human broadcast replayed again the mountain climbers. The deep-sea divers, the fire, the pain, the war, the child with the sign, "Welcome to Earth. Don't try anything stupid. Zarnic intelligence." Officers stood. We studied their history. Their planet tried to kill them for thousands of years. Storms, beasts, diseases, volcanoes, ice ages. He looked around slowly. They evolved with chaos. The chamber went quiet. Then a shrill voice broke the silence. "They have no shields, no plasma cannons, no planetary force fields. If we attacked, they would fall." It was the ambassador of the SCI Empire. "Fall," replied a Krent general. "Yes, maybe. But what happens after they fall?" "Happens when they get angry?" They all knew the answer. Humans didn't stay down. They rebuilt. They evolved. They remembered. The Zarnic officer spoke again. "There's something you need to understand. Humans, don't forget. If we strike Earth now, their children will return in 100 years, with better weapons and no laughter left." Urix, leader of the Armada, appeared by hologram. "Was there," he said. "I stood above Earth and watched them laugh. It wasn't defiance. It wasn't humor. It was a challenge." He paused. "I now believe Earth should be left alone." A roar of arguments filled the room. Coward, traitor. Wise, logical. The debate raged for hours. But one thing changed. For the first time in galactic history, the question wasn't, can we win? It was, what happens if we don't? At the end of the session, a quiet, elderly being from a forgotten moon stood up. Her voice cracked with age. "In my lifetime, I've seen many species rise and fall, but never have I seen a people who laughed at death itself." She turned to the chamber. "Leave Earth be, not out of fear, but out of respect. Or one day, we will wish they had only laughed." With that, she sat down. The chamber remained silent. For a long, long time, then across the stars, the word spread. The Armada was retreating. Earth had not fired a single shot. But the galaxy had been shaken, because in all the cold, cruel universe, they had found something more powerful than fear, human laughter. And no one knew what that meant for the future, only that the galaxy would never be the same again. The sky above Earth was calm again. The massive ships of the Galactic Armada were gone. No more black shadows blocking out the sun. No more signals. No more threats. But Earth had not forgotten. Not the threat. Not the silence that followed. And certainly not the laughter at a mountain base in the Rockies. Commander Elaine Rourke stood by a tall observation window, looking up at the stars. She sipped her coffee slowly, watching as satellites blinked in and out of view. Behind her, dozens of human leaders and strategists spoke in hushed tones. "We did it," one whispered. "No," Elaine said, turning around. "We didn't do anything. That's the part that scares them." General Barlow nodded. "We never fired, never launched, just laughed. And they ran," said the tech officer beside him. "No," Elaine corrected, "they thought. That's worse. Now, they're wondering, what kind of species laughs when death knocks at the door?" Half the room went silent. Then Elaine spoke again. "Send out the next phase." Quietly, a drone lifted into the sky. Then another. Then more. These weren't weapons. They were invitations, not to war, but to talk. To show humanity had no fear, but also had no hate, they called it. Signal of peace. It said, "We know you're watching, so are we. We don't want war, but we're not afraid of it either. If you come as friends, you'll be met with open hands. If not, you already know what awaits. It's far above in deep space." Admiral Yerkes of the Armada sat alone in his warship. He watched the footage of Earth again and again, the humans smiling, laughing, walking toward danger without blinking. Something in their eyes. It haunted him ever since. Not madness. Not aggression, but calm understanding. Like they knew something the rest of the galaxy didn't. He opened a private channel. Says Admiral Urix to all Armada leaders. Let Earth be. We may not understand them, but we do not need to. On a mining colony 3 systems away, a young alien boy watched a video on his screen. It showed a human child climbing a cliff, laughing with her father as wind howled around them. No safety nets, no fear. Why are they doing that? The boy asked. His father looked down and smiled softly. They're human. It's how they live. On Earth, the world began to move forward. They didn't build bigger weapons. They built starships. Not to attack, but to explore. Humanity had been tested, and instead of breaking, they had smiled. Instead of panicking, they had stood still. Instead of showing fear, they had laughed. That laugh echoed now as a joke, not as defiance, but as a warning. And the galaxy listened. Every planet, every empire. Every warlord now knew the name of Earth, not because it had won a battle, but because it had taught them something they'd forgotten. Strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it smiles, and sometimes date. In a small classroom in Tokyo, a teacher asked her students, "What do we say when fear comes knocking?" The children shouted in one voice, "We laugh." Somewhere light years away, an alien officer watching the feed whispered, "God help us if they ever stop." End.